My father was named Adolf. They were all pastors. I am named Adolf. My first name is Adolf. No one ever calls me that. Most people don't even know my name is Adolf. But everybody calls me Mark. That's my middle name. And in fact, I'd prefer if no one knew that my name was Adolf. Anyway, there's been a long tradition of the name Adolf being passed down in our family. We did not do that to our oldest son. We named him Jonathan. But anyway, that's a little history of the name Adolf. You can see that he was born in 1855. He was born near Stuttgart, Germany, a little town about 25 miles northeast of Stuttgart, Germany. Being in a pastor's family, he thought at an early age of becoming a pastor. So he went to seminary, and then he sort of got waylaid. He joined the army, the military over there in the infantry, was there for about 3 years. Then he went back to seminary after he got out of there and pastored a church in Germany, in Murr, Germany, M-U-R-R, Germany, for about 12 years. And then somehow, in the early 1890s, he got this inkling that he wanted to come to the United States. We aren't sure exactly why. We know that the pastors in Germany didn't like the state church there and all the control they had over the churches. We know that there was a lot of militarization going on. Kaiser Wilhelm II was doing a lot of preparations for war. And he also heard, here in the United States, there's a lot of churches that are looking for pastors. So opportunity here. So he gets on a ship. I've got a picture of the ship. It was called the Ems. And
in Deutschland there was a Kaiser.
Right over here.
And the Kaiser said you could
so you can see it was a steamer.
In America,
he gets on this ship in Bremen, Germany, von Bremen nach New York. From Bremen to New York. And the ship was named Ems, which is it's a river in northern Germany. And he got a fare in the Zweikensdecks. That's the lowest fare class. That means between the decks. If you've seen Titanic, you know it's the lower part where no one really wants to be, but it's cheap. So you go there, and here's his name right here, Adolf Friz. Now, if you traveled to the United States, the most important thing they were concerned about is your health. So you had to be vaccinated from smallpox. Well, he didn't plan too much ahead. He was vaccinated on July 13th in Bremen, Germany, and he sailed on July 15th. But at least when he got to the United States, he had the certificate. He could pin it on his clothing. When he walked through Ellis Island in customs, they knew that he was vaccinated and he had been taking care of that. When he came to the United States, he was in touch with the district pastors here to find out where he could become a pastor. And he moved to Alma, Kansas, became pastor of a little church there. And you can see this is the certificate where he gives up his citizenship of Germany. Like he says, it is his bona fide intention to become a citizen of the United States, and Adolf Paul August Friz does hereby renounce forever all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state, or sovereignty whatsoever, and particularly Wilhelm II, Emperor of Germany. So he gave up his allegiance to Germany at that time and came to this little church. It was 1893, and he was there for about a year. He met a woman named Wilhelmina Towie, and they got married and immediately started having children. He was 39 and she was 22. So he sort of robbed the cradle on that one. But they got married. They immediately started having children. They had 2 children. My grandfather was the firstborn, and his name Adolf Peter Burkhard Friz. So then came Helmut, and then they moved to Summerfield, Illinois. They had 2 more boys there. Then they moved to Millstadt. They had 2 more boys here. Well, you can see 1855 to 1905. How old was he when he died? Just 50 years old. 50 years old. So he came to the Concordia Church here near Millstadt, and was going to be the, so he was Alma, Kansas, Summerfield, Illinois, Concordia Church here near Millstadt. Was looking forward to a long pastorate there. About 8 months in, he had a stroke. His whole left side was paralyzed. So in 1902, he had to retire. And you can see that a couple years later, he passed away in October of 1905. So he left, when he died, a widow, a young widow with 6 boys, all under 10 years old. Well, come over here and I'll tell you the rest of the story. There's always the rest of the story. Can you read the name on this tombstone? Charlotte Wentz. What year did she die?
1892.
1907, right?
1907.
Yeah. So the pastor of the church here in Millstadt, Zion in Millstadt, was named Paul Wendt. His wife dies 2 years after my great-grandfather dies. So Paul Wendt has 5 kids. Paul and Charlotte have 5 kids. She's a widow with 6 boys. Guess what? They formed their families together. Now they have 11 children, and they're all staying in the parsonage at Millstadt. Well, while they have 11 children, they have 3 more between the 2 of them. So now there's 14 kids in the family. And there's 4 big bedrooms upstairs in the parsonage with 2 double beds in each bedroom. 4 times 4 equals 16, which is how many people were in their family. So they had quite a time raising the kids. No electricity during the day, no refrigeration, big gardens, you know, all the stuff you read about in books, hanging your butter and your milk down into the well so that it'll stay cool in the summer. And so there's a lot of stories. But the interesting thing about this is, even though they grew up in extreme poverty, I think Paul Wendt only made like $1,200 a year. Probably back then that wasn't extreme poverty, but it was poverty, let's just put it that way. 3 of the Friz boys became pastors, 2 became engineers, and 1 became a carpenter's foreman. Charlotte's kids, one of her sons was named Waldemar, and he became an admiral in the United States Navy. He was in charge of the entire Atlantic fleet in the United States Navy, and he's most known for saying that no one in the Navy could have any beers. Of course, the admiral that came after him changed that, and now I think they're changing it again. But do you have any questions about, I mean, there's so many stories I could tell you, but do you have any questions about the Friz-Wendt combination here? This poor little boy died at 13. Carl, it says in the family records he was such a sweet kid. Everybody loved him. But he got appendicitis around the age of 13. They took him to St. Louis to try to do something. Back then they didn't have antibiotics or anything like that, so he died of a burst appendix. So that's why he died so young.
Thank you.
You're welcome.